Welcome to the Never Ending Backlog podcast, your place for short reviews from a gamer with the goal of reducing his backlog. From adventures to sandboxes, join our host as we walk through a collection of unplayed treasures. Now, let's take a look at the featured game of this episode of the Never Ending Backlog.
Hello everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Never Ending Backlog. We have a great week ahead of us from games from developers of all shapes and sizes. And today we are kicking off the week with 100% Orange Juice, a game I had often seen when sorting my games, but had zero idea where it came from, when I purchased it, nor what it actually was. So let's jump right in, shall we? So what is it? According to Steam, it's 100% Orange Juice is a digital multiplayer board game populated by developer Orange Juice's all-star cast. Characters from Flying Red Barrel, QP Shooting, Suguri, and Sora come together with all new characters to duke it out with dice. The genre is an indie strategy board game, released in 2013. Developer is Orange Juice. Publisher is Fruit Bat Factory. Current price is $1.74 on Steam. MSRP is $6.99. According to Is There Any Deal, the historical low was $0 on Steam, so it was a freebie at one point in time on Steam. Now let's jump into the actual review, shall we? The game clocks in at just over 2 gigs on the hard drive. When it actually starts up, it actually presents a config window during every startup, allowing you to choose resolutions, graphics, game speed, and whether you want the game to be in windowed mode, which I truly appreciated this and made my experience much easier. I just chose windowed mode so that way I could type notes while I'm playing the game. It was great. I would recommend turning down the speed if you are new to this game. Mine was defaulted to fast, and I will say the turns just fly by, which if you're trying to learn what is happening in the game, it can be quickly overwhelming at fast. Graphics, it's a clean animation illustrated type of anime game. It quite reminds me of Disgaea's design and illustrations, which I like that. There are a lot of graphic things going on here, a lot of colors, a lot of moving background shapes and things, and just a vibrant game overall. However, it's clean, works well, there were no glitches, and it seems like it could have been one of those games found on Newgrounds.com or another Flash player game website, which by no means is an insult. It just seems like one of those games that you log into every single day and play, and you just love it. Audio reminds me of Taiko Drum Master, which I absolutely loved when I was younger on the console. Similar to the graphics, it's very bright, colorful, chipper, just a great sounding game. The music also reminds me of Stardew Valley, which is always a perk in my book. There's a lot of Japanese voiceovers, and if you think about an anime genre placed into a game, it's somewhat what you'd expect. I'm not as into anime anymore, however, there are a few anime series that I have enjoyed, such as The Irresponsible Captain Tyler, Fooly Cooly, and I guess Avatar: The Last Airbender, although some people don't think of that as a traditional anime, but I do. Controls, this primarily uses mouse, which works well. There's not much complexity with the controls. It's a point and roll, point and click type of board/card game. The game reminds me a lot of Sonic Shuffle for the Sega Dreamcast, mixed with deck choosing components of Age of Empires 3. Might seem a little weird that I say that, but it kind of does. You choose your deck before the game and they get rolled out. And the art style of Disgaea, as I mentioned before. Overall, it's a fun game. If you read the instructions first and take your time, you can pick it up relatively quickly. It's not a super complicated game. Essentially it's a 4-player game where you choose multiple cards that benefit you, and you place them in a large deck where all the other players put their cards as well as a few other random ones from the game, in the middle of the game board. The game board resembles something found in Sonic Shuffle or Mario Party, and then your character traverses the board to earn stars that you use to level up. So, for example, the first level requires 10 stars to get to level 1, or they call it Norma, is what they call the first level, or call every level. Then after you do that, you choose to get either the 30 stars or battle 2 characters. And you choose to either battle the human player or the other CPU computer players that you're playing against, or just get 30 stars. The game actually recommends that you go for the stars because you're never really stuck in that situation. You can always just keep getting more stars. And then it just expands further, and then once you do that and you land on your home, you get to level up again or go to Norma 2, and so on and so forth. There are different kinds of game board places. or what they call panels, so think of tiles on a Monopoly board, that you can land on. You draw cards when you land on green panels, or warp randomly when you land on purple panels. You earn stars when you land on yellow panels, based on a dice roll times your current level. And you lose stars when you land on a red panel, level based on dice roll as well. There are bosses and CPU bad guys that you battle in a dice manner. Overall, pretty straightforward. It has a Game Boy Advance Wars-esque vibe to the battling system, but with dice, obviously. Regarding difficulty, the game has a great guide that you can watch when you first start the game. Plus, it's right on the main screen to access any time when you click on the guide button. It's not an in-game game tutorial, which I would have preferred, and there are 43 steps in the guide, which is quite a bit. However, it does provide it, so I appreciate it. As mentioned, though, with my Galactic 2 Civilizations review, I am a hands-on learner, and that's not really a rarity among humans. I believe the tutorials in-game offer a better experience for users. I understand that it's more work or complexities for the developers. However, for a board game type game, it just makes sense. There are also timed objectives and goals, similar to Overwatch, Fortnite, and the Call of Duty series. So for an example is play 2 games as character X, or travel X number of panels within 2 days. So I think that's pretty cool. It keeps the, showing that the game is still supported after 7 years, which is really nice. I earned 1 achievement in my 1 hour of game time, so they don't just completely give it away, which is nice. So for pros, for a game that was released in 2013, it is still supported by the developers. Since it's near Halloween at the time of this review, there is a trick and treat, timed events, DLC sales, and other things going on, which is awesome to see for a developer care about a product, even as we approach a decade later. If you like Japanese anime-inspired card and board games, then you will absolutely enjoy this game. It's easy to learn, works well on computers that might not be powerhouses, and has an active community and developer, so it doesn't feel dead, which is really nice. Regarding cons, it seems to have a lot of lore, I guess that might be used loosely, that isn't explained. I mean, who are these characters? What are their stories? Why do I care about them? So for me, 100% Orange Juice, I don't know those characters. I don't know that developer. So I think, it might make more sense to these storylines to actually, who these people are. The tutorial should be in the actual game itself, as I mentioned, rather than read first, then jump into a game and hope you remember. Even items like choosing cards would be helpful with more explanations. It's a similar experience to playing Magic the Gathering, which I'm a big fan of. There are tons of creature buffs, and sometimes they only say things like flash, trample, etc. And unless you know the game structure, you wouldn't know how that impacted you. Fortunately, Magic the Gathering has gotten better in providing tutorials or even descriptions on the card, and they have such a large following, it's easy to learn, and this game seems a little bit tougher without that lore, or at least that background, like why would I care about this card? I also think the tutorial could have been accessed within the game, such as the guide button to show for quick reference while you're actually playing the game. So if you're like, what does this thing do? You push the guide and it does that, or even like a little UI, UX kind of a little question mark around stuff, so that way you can click on that if you're like, what does this mean? I think those type of descriptions work really well, those tooltips. So, as mentioned, I'm not familiar with Orange Juice franchise, so I'm assuming these characters are more relatable to those who have played or read about them. Before each game, there's a dialogue between characters, yours and others, and it's super charming. I just have zero idea what is the backstory. It's definitely made for people that are aware of this franchise. It would be like a person who has never watched a Star Wars movie jump in directly to the Star Wars The Old Republic online. It'd just be a blur. But at least with Star Wars The Old Republic, you would get a video showing up the plot or at least a storyline or a video. And this game just assumes the only person who would own this game is an OJ fan. But they'd be wrong because, well, I own it. So for recommended, if you like dice or board game, then I would recommend this game. It's easy to jump into. It has a lot of similarities to Sonic Shuffle or Mario Party, which offers an easy to play yet randomly challenging. And overall, I think it was well done. This was much different than what I thought it was going to be. I assumed it was going to be one of those Japanese dating sims. However, I like the design, the cheerfulness, and overall, it was a really great time. I really actually honestly do recommend this game, especially if you do like the Mario Party series. This is a great game to just throw in windowed mode. If you have maybe a half hour you want to play around, it's a great idea to do it. They do have multi-packs that you can buy on Steam, so you can play with your friends as well. They have an online gaming you can play. You can do all kinds of different modes, which I think is really cool. And overall, it's a pretty great game. So thank you for joining us today as we reviewed 100% Orange Juice. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.